Hello, my name is Macey Edem Ama Nortey, and today I'm joining you from Treaty 6 territory in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. My soul was born in Ghana, West Africa, Volta region number 1. My physical self presented in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Comfort Gandu and Abraham Nate, my wonderful parents. From age 7 onward, I transplanted to Los Angeles, California, Youngstown, Ohio, and within different cities of Maryland. I am honored to be back in the North and to call these lands and these brilliant, brilliant sacred spaces home. With that, I'd like to share with you all my first human library entitled Body Talks, the rhythms that carried me. I never realized how much my body talked until I made it back to Canada. As an adult, you see. Seeing the Rocky Mountains attached to the sky moved me to tears. I knew then there was an entire ecosystem that my spirit never met. But before I delve into my homecomings, I want to share my connection to passion, senses, and rhythms. Moving to a new climate at such a young age was pretty strange for the first few years. Going from white snowy days to sunny beaches did not compute the way one would assume. A particular sensory passion I developed in adjusting to this change was smell. I grew up very fond of my mother's cooking, which of course I would never admit openly because I was involved in the process of preparing those meals. But I would wake from any slumber, thinking of my mother's cooking, thinking of the smells of onions, tomatoes, ginger. In many ways, it reminded me of my life in Toronto, being immersed in different cultures. Fish, yams, fufu. As a child, I always found comfort, not my mother, in connecting my memories to different fond experiences. The integration into the Spanish and Mexican culture was the true icing on the cake for me, as many families were willing to open and embrace their arms to me and my family. As I quickly learned the commonalities between our steeds as immigrants, so to speak, I cherish them. I still hear the corn man in my dreams. Fresh elote. Hindsight is and always will be far clearer than we can ever imagine. But I never would have guessed the rhythm and the frequency of sports would develop me. It would raise me and grant me family until our time's end. I loved ice skating and hockey, yet that didn't quite translate moving to Southern California. I learned the beats of the playground instead. Running fast, running really fast. Kickball, kung fu. But basketball was the sport that gave me the most thrill. To this day, the art of symbiosis within a group or team always tenders my heart with gratitude. A pulse I followed, which afforded me my education, the discipline I have, and my curious mind that's ever expanding. I could talk about my ball journey for hours, but that was only one aspect of the evolving me. Instruments became instrumental into my ecosystem's development, the grassroots approach. Instruments helped me transcend language. In the absence of collegiate sports, I turned to music in a different capacity. I needed to uphold my tactile senses to fill the void. But what took me years to realize was it took some deconstruction of self to re-identify with who I was becoming as a non-athlete or post-athletics. I gravitated towards food, but in the way of food education, green thumbing, so to speak, community engagement, becoming in tune with my strings, then opened the doors and conversations, experiences, and knowledge I knew very little about. When I made it to the Washington, D.C. area, I met the djembe, or what we call the bobobo. It's a type of drum. I became more intimate with its frequency, gathering at drum circles, understanding how individuals pair the rhythm of the drum with dance and flow art and food. But somewhere in the back of my mind, I always knew made in Ghana. So I kept at it with the strings and an oath to myself to make it back home, to purchase a bobobo, to really feel that rhythm within me in my own home. Arriving back here in Canada afforded me the opportunity to remove a layer of introduction. It was no longer a Canadian from California, potentially American. I felt geographically closer to both my parents and the homeland of Africa. I knew my time was coming to visit. I felt an internal dialogue within me that just so happened to be triggered by the passing of both of my grandfathers. Somewhere in me, I knew that in our culture, death is only a part of the journey, and there was a celebration of life that needed to take place. And at this age, it was time for me to make that journey back home. I was blessed and fortunate to make it when I did. I can recall many things that are hard for me to this day to articulate. But I recall arriving, being met with smells and those familiar smells and passions. I remember being met with rhythms, the frequencies of the air, hearing fire, hearing communications, different languages, so many different languages. So much so as even being next to a kente cloth enriched me with memories. My heart beat differently. These newer climates had my spirit erratic and nervous. And it wasn't until I was met with my family, hearing the bobobo, that I caught a new breath that synergized my senses within the celebration of life. The frequency of teams, family, kinfolk, teachers, leaders, all drive my sensory pathways. I am continuing to tune into the rhythms and the teachings through my body talks. And I'm happy to say I was able to bring back my bobobo drum to remind me of the many rhythms that continue to carry me. Akpe, thank you. Much love to you all. This story is only beginning, and I hope that I can find you on my journey.